Boyce with CB Creative, and this is another Tuesday Pulse about AI. Today we're talking about prompts to processes, building repeatable systems with the create mode. And so what I want to do is go through what your problems are. Right now, most people use AI in a very random, unstructured format. They're stuck in a inconsistent results and they waste potential. Teams fire off disconnected commands. People are repeating the same processes in different versions but not getting consistency. They're writing things like write me a blog post or make me a marketing plan or summarize an email or something like that. It's scattered. They get random input. They get random output. There's not knowledgeable or there's not knowledge transfer and it's not replicable. So it just leaves people frustrated and stuck. So, solution to that is structure and control. And so, a few weeks ago, I did a webinar on the create process, which talked about how to make your prompts more efficient by adding structure to it. And so, the structure for every prompt, you should be using a version or some portions of context defining what your environment is going to be, the results, what you want to have come out of your prompt. Explain the reasoning and your methodology behind it. Identify who you're talking to or who you want the results to affect. Set your tone. How do you want it to sound? Do you want it to be professional or chatty or conversational? And then you refine through iteration. So the first time it may come up with a certain result, and then you don't like that, so you reiterate and you add corrections or modifications to your prompt. What we do now with C.R.E.A.T.E.X is to give it more control. And so on top of all of this context and understanding what you want the prompt to do, you now can add deep thinking. How deep do you want it to go? Do you want to just give a brief overview? Do you want mid-control? Do you want it to do some deep thought? The newer models of LLMs have a lot better reasoning in them, and you can control the complexity of your reasoning. You can also manage the autonomy with proactivity levels, which I'll go into, and you can give it stop and ask conditions. So before it continues, reiterate what I told you to do. Ask for clarification, ask for repetition of what, and just validate and repeat what you really want it to do. Again, we'll get into explicit details on these as we go on. So, why this matters now is because, excuse me, is that some of the newer browsers or new LLMs nowadays have these massive context windows. And so instead of just worrying about putting in a paragraph, some of these context windows are normally up to millions of tokens, or in the case of Gemini, 2 million tokens. And so it can handle major volumes of documentation to help with the task that you're giving the AI to handle. And so they also have access to more memory. And so it can access previous conversations. It can carry continuity across conversations. But without structure, all this power becomes overwhelming. Again, as I mentioned earlier, there's advanced reasoning. And so deeper logic, you can have it give you a brief overview, or you can have it do deep dives and really have deep reasoning. You can also now use text and images and code, data. They all are single workflows. And so you can upload images and say, get the text out of this image and run an analysis on it and give me an output in a graph. And so you can have input and output of both text, images, code, write me a prompt that does such and such. They're really brilliant when you're directed, but if you don't have context, and it can create ambiguities and confusion. So the more you can write these down, you get more clarity and you get to provide governance on top of that. And as you can see in some of these examples, as we'll go through how this makes a difference. So the complete framework consists of context, which defines your business environment and a role. The roles are also very important because you can become an expert in any role, but if you specify the role, it gives the prompt more context as to what you want. And so instead of saying what you are, you're a marketing strategist for a eco boutique specializing in sustainable home goods. It's much better than just saying you're a marketing strategist or I have a eco boutique. Specify your result. Specify one clear outcome. I want to create a 3-step email campaign for a fall product launch targeting local customers. Again, very specific, very clear output. Explain your reasoning. Outline your strategic approach before writing the content and ask me for validation. So again, you're giving it more to do. Your audience is very important. So who are you writing for? This is going to be for busy small business owners aged 30 to 50 who value sustainability and local commerce. When you set your tone, you just are seeing how you want it to sound. Be professional yet warm, community focused with conversational energy. And then you can expand through iteration. So expand step 2, expand step 3, make it 200 words, write a complete paragraph. However you want, you can expand it and edit and refine it through your iterations. The new things in the X on top of create are your thinking depth. And so make it a medium depth, balance thoroughness with efficiency. Proactivity adds that autonomy level. And so in a confirm mode, present the plan and wait for approval before executing. Stop and ask, very similar, but now you can say pause if the data is not complete or a parameter falls below 30% or 70% and the budget is greater than $500. And so now, instead of just asking for things, if you're providing excess detail or if it's doing any research, you can stop if it doesn't meet these parameters. So the first six steps are creating your structure, and the third, add governance. Together, you can turn one-time prompts into repeatable, auditable processes. From one-time prompt to repeatable processes. So if you start now, say you begin with an unstructured request that this is going to be your typical usage in an organization. Write me an email thanking the customer for purchasing product X. That's very generic, and that's what a lot of people are doing now. Or create a social post for Facebook that promotes my latest product. When you add the structure, you add any of these 6 foundational elements, it's just going to increase your clarity, consistency, and context. The more context you have, the better the results are going to be. Again, as I often say, the LLMs are the smartest intern you'll ever have, but it knows absolutely nothing about what you're wanting to accomplish. And so the more context you can provide, the better it's going to perform. Then you layer in the X controls and you integrate your deep thinking, your proactivity, and your stop conditions to make them more repeatable. So all 3 evolutions demonstrate a single marketing email transforms into a throwaway task, and then that transforms into a repeatable task. So again, starting random, adding structure, adding controls, creates repeatable usage of your prompts. So let's do a demo of a random prompt. It's going to say, let's write an email about our weekend sale. And so that's just a generic subject. There's no personality. Its body is going to be very vague. It's going to apply to any business. It's inconsistent tone. It's not going to match your brand voice. There's no documentation for reuse next week. There's no benchmarks. There's no way to train people. It's just, oh yeah, write a prompt. And so it looks acceptable in the moment, but it creates 0 institutional value. Each week you're starting from scratch, you're wasting time, and you're preventing improvement. You're not improving as you go along. So in demo B, we're going to be adding structure, and then Here's a more structured prompt. So you're a marketing assistant for a Charleston eco boutique. You're specializing in sustainable home goods. Write an email announcing our fall weekend sale. Don't want to read all this because you can see this here, but let's just see what the difference is. And so I'm going to go into ChatGPT and we'll start with just the basic. Here is the, let's just do write an email about our weekend sale. So again, very vague. The weekend sale, savings on a strategic AI training. Hey there, we're kicking off a weekend and we have a special on my strategic foundations course and masterclass. Save 25%, save 20%. See, now it knew all about me and my business because of the way I have trained ChatGPT. And so it just assumed, based on what it has knowledge about me, that this is what I wanted to write a weekend sale email about. Now, if we go further and we go into the second prompt, which added the ability to add more context. So you're now a marketing assistant for the Eco Boutique. I'm no longer talking about my business. We're now focusing on this Eco Boutique that has sustainable home goods. It wants to have a fall weekend sale, but the weekend sale now has details. It's a 25% off organic cotton bedding and reclaimed wood furniture. You want this to be friendly and locally focused, emphasizing on the community, and make it compelling with a subject line of 150 words with a clear call to action with shop, link, and hours. So now we have a much more contextual idea of what we want the prompt to do. So here, when we see the results, it's now saying, cozy up, Charleston, to a fall weekend sale on sustainable comfort. Hey, neighbors, fall's in the air. We're celebrating. Here's a 25% off weekend of most loved essentials, our cotton bedding and reclaimed wood furniture. Every piece is thoughtfully sourced, crafted to bring warmth to your home without cost. So you can see it's swing by Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6. It gives the hours. Help by cozier planet, live happily ever after. It's talking about the type of people and how they want to have sustainable lifestyles. And it gives a link to the shop. It talks about the address, and then it signs off warmly. And so now you can see it's a huge improvement over the initial, just assuming what you wanted to sell, what the business was, what your idea was. There's no tone or structure. It's very robotic type of email, whereas this one is focusing on a certain amount of people. It has guidelines, it has a structure. Now, if we want to make this even better yet, we'll paste in a new one. And so now we're still doing the same thing. I think I missed some of this here. Now let's act. So we're going to act as a marketing operations strategist now instead of a marketing assistant. And so now we're bringing strategy into it. It's the same business. It's the same business, sustainable home goods. And we're going to build a repeatable system for a weekly promotional email. And so now, before starting, present a two-step plan, give it reasoning depth, give it confirm mode, stop and ask if segmentation data or promotional calendar input is available, create a numbered workflow, keep the same context, keep the same availability, but now you have also variable fields for your product category, your discount and features and dates. And so now, not only are you having your regular content, but now you can say make this usable for any category at any discount or any featured items that you're going to use or whatever dates. And so now it's a much more versatile prompt. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to run through here and say, wait a minute, do you have some extra addition? And so here it's saying that define the segment, Pause here, segmentation data is missing, so there's no segmentation data. And then it says map a promotional calendar. Pause here for calendars not finalized. And so now the weekly cadence, giving it some ideas, some guidelines. And in the execution, it's going to select your product and featured items. It's going to confirm your discount and dates. It's going to, now if you would have had any of these, it would have already put those in there. And so here we're going to have a 150-word email based on the Eco Boutique and focus. So again, no additional let's see what happens here if we don't provide anything else. And so again, it's going to want to add more features. So let's see, let's go product. Product is betting at 25% off this weekend. And friendly tone. DIY tone. So here we go. Rest easy. Hey friends, cooler nights. And so now with that one prompt, I'm just adding what I want the ad to be about, and it modifies that. And so now if I were to use this prompt every week and just fill in these missing parameters, you now have a reusable prompt that is going to be the same for everyone. And so if you start building prompt libraries, the next step on top of this then would be to start creating GPTs, which are automated prompts. And so the first thing would be to create a library of prompts, and then the next is to automate the prompts by having them in a GPT, which is a programmed transformer. But it allows you to reuse them much more easily than cutting and pasting. So going back to the details, when you start adding structure, you'll get improvement. Let's go back here. So the first one was the random prompt. There's generic, it looked approachable, but it really had zero institutional value. Here, the improvement now has specific brand context, product details. It's more authentic, and the business is appropriate for the audience. The remaining gap is there's still no structure. And so we go into the structure, and now it generates documentation, it confirms the approach, it builds reusable templates, establishes quality checkpoints. And so now these emails take minutes instead of starting from scratch. So if you can see, you can start building these repeatable processes with prompt libraries or GPTs. So when you create X across your business functions, here's a few examples for, say, a customer follow-up for automation. You want to act as a strategist and build a 3-touch reactivation flow for leads that are colder than 60 days. Your output's a systematic workflow with content templates. If you want to see what that looks like, let's say that we want to run that prompt. So now I'm going to say act as a CRM, which is a customer relationship management system strategist. You want a 3-touch reactivation flow for leads that have been cold for 60 days. You want to stop and ask if scoring data or engagement history is there. And then you want to have a workflow with timing, templates, and a decision tree. So let's see what this comes up with. All right. Before I go deeper, do you have lead scoring data, or do you have past engagement history? If you have any of those, it's going to re-engage softly or directly. And so let's say that I don't have data, and we can later personalize. So proceed without data, yes. So now it should be building a 3-touch reactivation flow. So here is touch 1. On day 1, this is over a total of 10 days. It's a CRM automation, could be MailChimp, Klaviyo, GHL, whatever tool you're using. But on week 1, you're going to be reconnect. You're going to, immediately after the 60 days, so you're going to be tying this into an automation. It's going to be reignite. It's going to still thinking about going green, we've missed you, and then what's new. And so if clicked or open, you can see if ignored. The touch point 2 is going to be on day 4. It's a value, remember. You're going to, 3 days after touch 1, you're going to have a goal, a new subject line, here's your body, and then you have a decision tree based in your automation. If it's clicked, do this. If not, do that. On the 10th day, 6 days after touch 2, it's going to try to convert your contacts. So a little thank you, 20% off to welcome you back. And then if opened, it's going to tag and move to loyalty list. If not opened, and so you have all these optimizations. And so a simple little tab, simple prompt comes up with a 3-touch automated workflow that you can do. It's going to ask you now, do you want to have your exact email copy? And you can continue on with that. The next one was a content repurposing pipeline. Say that you want to act as a current workflow architect. Convert a 1,200-word blog post into 5 LinkedIn snippets. So let's see how this one would look. We'll go back to ChatGPT and paste in your content workflow architect. You want to convert one 1,200-word blog post into 5 LinkedIn snippets. Confirm the approach, reasoning, and so let's do that. Okay, source is going to be a 1,200-word blog. It's going to find 5 things. It's going to, for each one, it's going to apply a hook, find 80 to 120 words. Would you like me to demonstrate using a blog post? Yeah. And so I am going to find a blog post. Okay, sorry, cutting and pasting. This is a long one. It's probably longer than 1,200 words, but I will copy and paste that and go back to my prompt. And so here is the blog. Right now it's reading through it and extracting, and we have problems. So we'll retry this. ChatGPT has been having all sorts of little problems today. All right, so here are now the 5 LinkedIn snippets based on that long prompt. And so if you have long form content, this could be videos. You can get the transcript of your video and put that in there. It could be a blog, it could be an ebook, it could be whatever form of long content you have. But now this is saying that I want to, here's the blog post. So the original was going through and here it is, 1,200 word into 5 snippets, confirm the approach, give your reasoning depth, and repeatable. So I gave it the blog post. It's going through and saying that 5 pillars are going to be a mindset, practical set, low-cost literacy, AI literacy, challenging the hype. And so it talks about how it's building each one of these snippets. Takes the snippet, here's your hook, and then a little post that you can go onto LinkedIn. So now with that one blog post, you suddenly have 5 LinkedIn posts. That'll be a week worth of content that you don't have to create from scratch. Last one here is a standard operating procedure, an SOP generator. So now you're going to be an operations consultant. You want to transform informal process documentation into a structured SOP. So let's see how that one works. Absolutely. We have an informal process. Let's see, you want to turn an informal SOP after, can you paste the process here? Say, no, but I need an SOP for customer follow-up to a form submission. All right, so now here's the process that it's writing an SOP. So the responsible roles gives you the scope, gives you the purpose, and then it gives you a step-by-step. So the process is a form submission capture. It acknowledges that the form has been submitted, gives a personalized review, goes through, gives you your quality standards, what metrics to follow to see how successful it is, gives you version control, and do you want this SOP to have different follow-up paths? Should it respond in different business hours? And so let's lock it in and then give a Google Doc or a Notion. And so let's say that we want to follow business hours only. Slight modification. And now again, you could do automated email. And so you could go on and reiterate on this. But again, a simple small prompt is now providing you with standard operating procedures. If you would have already formulated procedures that are partially documented or fully documented, it can improve upon those processes. That's the very first step that you need when you're bringing automation or AI into a business, is you have to understand your business and you have to understand your processes before you can actually use AI or simple automation to make it more efficient within your business. So the first step is always analyze your business. Do you have everything documented? If you have things documented, then you can take the next step into improving that documented process. So every recurring task becomes an opportunity to build a collaboration that scales across your environment. So now from your point of view, your exercise is to identify one recurring task, something that you do daily, weekly, monthly, that requires a lot of effort, and it's something that you don't like doing because it's so manual. So this is where you have to start documenting that one task. The better your documentation, the better it's going to be on automating it. Once you have that task documented, then draft a create prompt. Apply the 9 elements. Again, aim for structure and context. If you have to reiterate and keep repeating this until it's perfected, that's great. It'll never be perfect, but you can always improve upon it. Again, test and refine. You're reiterating, you're setting your baselines, you're putting controls around it. And so the structure teaches you clarity. Your first attempt will find gaps, and then you can improve your processes. And that's the whole point. With AI, you're constantly building better systems by testing, refining, and iterating. Maturity process, as you've seen with a random prompt, they're highly variable, there's inconsistency, it's just, there's no repeatability unless you remember what you did. You may have started a prompt library and you're cutting and pasting, so there may be some repeatability in there, but again, there's no governance or guidelines. And if you remembered to write the prompt down enough to be able to copy and paste it, you're probably not at that point. Most people, 80% of people using AI right now are at the random prompt joint. But if you even just do, as I taught a few weeks ago, just the create, you're going to have much more reliable, much more context, and a much better prompt. It's going to be easier to replicate by copying and pasting because the prompts are longer. You're going to want to probably save those in some sort of format. And then you have moderate control through structured prompts. But with C.R.E.A.T.E.X, you now have consistently high and predictable variance. They're automated with documentation, depending on how you do it. And so the progression is start with a random prompt, start applying C.R.E.A.T.E, put guardrails on it with the X. You're going to just get better and better, more repeatable prompts as you go along. It's not only going to improve your prompting, but you're documenting your processes along the way, and it's improving your processes along the way. And so it's a win-win situation. It starts out time consuming, but once you pass that certain learning curve, it's just going to get better and easier, and you're going to have much more repeatable, better output. So, 3 rules of systemization. Structure is always going to rule. Ad hoc requests are going to have ad hoc results. It's going to be inconsistent. It's not going to enable training. You want to build institutional knowledge. And so when you add control, when you add structure, it starts making it more usable, reusable. The control adds better proactivity with the stop conditions, it prevents drift, and it just beats complexity. When you add the repetition, it starts getting more return on investment because you're building once and you're reusing it multiple times. And so you start with your structure, you add your guardrails, you make it repetitive. Here's some examples of the real world. An e-commerce reseller. Their product descriptions took 45 minutes to create, limiting catalog expansion because every time they added a product, it would take them 45 minutes to document the product on their website. With C.R.E.A.T.E.X, they could just have a prompting formula where they just enter in the product name and a brief description, and it will SEO optimize everything with text specifications. So again, you have much more structure and control. So from 45 minutes, it went down to 12 minutes. So you have 3 times the output, and you maintained higher quality scores. You didn't maintain them, you got higher quality scores. A professional services form. They had status reports, 3 hours weekly per account manager. So they automated report generation with a confirm mode. It dropped that down to 45 minutes a week off of the 3 hours. So again, a 3-time improvement. It got better, improved communications. The marketing agency was doing social content creation. It just slowed down. Sometimes they wouldn't do it. They had missed deadlines on getting content out there. Their solution was a multi-stage content pipeline, from blog posts to breaking it down into various short snippets to put onto various platforms. They got 5 times the content output, and they onboarded 3 new clients without additional headcount. And so you can see taking these processes, reducing the amount of time, reducing the amount of people, you'll be able to bring on new business with the same amount of people. So as part of this, I'm going to give you a template to help you create. It's a fill in the blank type thing. You can use it as much as you want, and it will help you to start getting into the concept of applying C.R.E.A.T.E.X to your prompting. And then are you ready to scale across your organization? So if you are ready to start scaling, book an appointment with me, and I can help you audit your processes. I can help you discover where you have some quick wins that you can automate 2 to 3 processes within 30 days. You can create your custom frameworks, and it will enable your team to have training built in and make it that much more accessible. You can also go to our website to show the AI literacy implementation ladder that I have, which starts with becoming literate with AI, documenting your processes, finding which ones you can automate, creating your framework around that, and then training your people on that. And so not only are you, again, documenting your processes, you're improving your processes, and you're training your staff along the way. So here again is what you want to do. You want to reflect upon your pain points. What are the tasks that you dread? What is taking too much time? Can they be systemized? These are the best ones to focus on. Start small. Do something like an automated email, and then work up on that. And build your institutional memory. Repeat them intentionally, refine them continuously. Use feedback from your staff, from yourself, what you've learned along the way, and always iterate. And it's not about a magic prompt, it's about repeating systems with good instructions that will work the same every time. So, some of the biggest implementation challenges you're going to have is team resistance. This is some bonus stuff. Lots of people are afraid of AI. They think it's too complicated. The staff is not going to want to do that. And so start with augmenting their tasks and not talking about replacing. Choose your process team members. Find out the tasks that they don't like. See if there's ways to do that. Show them the time savings. Help them be the AI person rather than viewing AI as a threat. Help them use AI for guidance. There's always the challenge of quality. The various outputs, because of the random prompting, you get inconsistent results. And so by having these consistent prompts that people are using all the time and constantly trained on them, you get better quality consistency. The next challenge is the process and documentation gaps. This is huge because prompts normally aren't shared. They should be, especially if you create a prompt library, tagging functions by metrics and helping people know where to find this. Have built-in training for your staff. Show them what updates have been going through. Focus 10 or 15 minutes a week on here's the latest improvements that we've done to these various prompts if people don't know about them. Bring in communications, but always keep your staff involved. If you bring in AI or you bring in automation, it's to reduce redundancy, it's to reduce the boring tasks. It's not to replace humans. The human is always going to be there. Humans have to review, humans have to add their context, their experience, their expertise, their emotions, their empathy. Everything that a human is needs to still be involved. AI is automating things. AI is making it faster. AI is doing a lot of the back end research. It's formatting. It's doing the tedious things. But you still need the human aspect involved. The more you involve your staff with these decisions, with the direction of your prompts, the more effective you're going to be when bringing AI or automation enhanced by AI into your environment. Again, looking at your ROI, here's what it looks like. If you can decrease the amount of time spent on things, you could get up to 73% time reduction, depending on what you're doing. You could increase your content deliverables by 5 times. Again, you focus on one long prompt format, one long format content, and then you can break that into reusable pieces that you can put on your social or your emails or your advertising. And so focus on quality, large scale, and have AI break it down into more usable chunks that can be used in multiple parts of your business and your promotions. It can improve your quality consistency greatly. And if you have your teams involved, it's going to drop the number of days. If people are being trained on the same things, it's just going to make everybody more consistent and on the same page and improve communications across the board. Track qualitative indicators. Your satisfaction, is the repetitive work really being reduced? Get your feedback, constantly talk to your people, feel where things need to be improved, and just involve everybody. You're not replacing people, you're augmenting their work, and AI is going to help make them better. Some simple governance frameworks for essential policies. You want to make sure that you have clear rules on your data, what's going to be shared, what's not going to be shared, how much is company proprietary. Want to make sure that you're not putting proprietary information out into public AI systems. Have to give clarity on what data you want to use. You want to review your output. Again, the human verification is extremely important, especially in customer delivery. You do not want to automate everything to begin with. Always have the human verification. Version control, tracking your iterations, making sure everybody's using them, track your metrics, have access levels about who can update what, provide audit trails of who's using what. And so you always want to have an AI hero within your environment, somebody who's the go-to person, somebody who can keep track of what prompts are being made, what version control is on them, and who accesses them and how they're being used. If you start looking at risk mitigation, hallucination is still something that happens. Hallucination is in the AI world when AI doesn't know, but it's very confident about what it doesn't know, and it gives you really positive sounding results that make absolutely no sense, but it sounds really good until you get that human review. You'll find out that it's making up things. A good example is a writer who knew he had published 5 books, and he asked AI to give a review of the 7 books that he had written. And AI came back and gave a review of 7 books, 2 of which were never there. But AI was convinced that there were 7 because you said my 7 books. And so it just came up with 2 fictitious books, even though you knew there was only 5. And so that's just an example of hallucinations. You do want to get brand consistency across locking in your tone style. Make sure everybody uses the same tone. And if you're doing images, that you have your brand coloring, you have your fonts and everything in a consistent manner. You want to have cost control, you want to find error handling, and you want to make sure that the team is on track, providing training. Set aside 30 minutes a week for everybody to be trained on how to use your tools, how to use AI in general, how to be better prompting. The more training, the more your staff is going to feel involved and not be threatened by AI, but want to make AI work better for them. Brings out the creativity, even though people think that it's going to steal creativity, but no, the human has a mind of its own. AI doesn't. AI repeats things. AI reformulates things. It repurposes things, but it doesn't create new. It is based on what it's been trained. It may come up with something that's new to you, but it has been trained on other things. And so it is not coming up with anything brand new. Everything, which is one of the problems with AI, is because with AI, a lot of people have created what's called AI slop, and that gets fed into the system. And so AI is training itself on slop. And so now you get this weird cycle of being trained on bad information, and that just kind of perpetuates the cycle, which is a bad thing to do. But get consistency in your use of AI, and again, training. Get people involved. Get them trained. Help them understand what you want to do. They know better. They know where the bottlenecks are. You may not. And that is everything for the day. Again, at the end of this, I'll ship out a recording, and I will have the resources available. And so look for the recording on the YouTube channel, and I will send out an email with the link to the resources. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate your time, and that is it for today.